YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for Kamen Rider Gavv, episode 21. So a big episode. We ended on the cliffhanger last week where Hanto and Vlam found out that Shouma's part of the Stomach family. Obviously, Vlam already knew that he was a granite, but still it was like a double reveal. It was such a big deal that they did that thing that they did a few weeks ago where they repeated the last scene at the beginning of the episode again, which was strange. So this episode really surprised me in a lot of ways. Like, ultimately, Hanto actually wound up having a very mature reaction, which I was happy with, but it was kind of funny that you did initially have him kind of overwhelmed and flying off the handle, to the point where he was like, tell me everything, and then he's like, no, I don't want to listen, and then he punched him. He literally said something like that, like, I don't want to hear it, and he stormed off, and he had that moment, which is expected. And thankfully, Vlam wasn't too upset. I didn't expect him to be, but I thought there might be a minute where he thought, you lied to me, I just hate the Stomach family enough that, like, I'm not gonna, like, attack you or anything, but I don't want to work with you. But more so, he just wanted to be informed on what was going on, and after they compared notes, everything was fine. They still kind of set Vlam up in this territory of, like, I'm gonna help you fight against Stomach Inc., but I really don't care about humans. Kind of like Robo Knight only caring about the environment, but, you know, much cooler version. And I like that that keeps him in a little bit of a gray lane. When I was talking about I was disappointed that his redemption was rushed, it's not even like he's redeemed yet. Like, he isn't fully kumbaya friendship bracelets, protect humans, protect smiles, or anything like that. But by that I just meant is having him as kind of this third party, and also whatever he was doing with the member of the Stomach family whose name is escaping me at the moment that he was working with. Like, I liked having that third kind of X factor. I thought that was interesting, and having a character that's not necessarily on either side. We still kind of have that in a way, but I just thought it was unfortunate to lose that so immediately, but I like that we're keeping him a little bit in a gray area. Shouma briefly shows up at Sachika's place, and he contemplates telling her, but then has, like, PTSD from 4 seconds ago about the way Hanto reacted, so he decides not to do it, and then he, like, passes out, and that, I think, might lead into some red herrings or something involved with Bitter Gavv. So then you have Hanto reflecting on everything, and as soon as he sees the story about how all of the people that were kidnapped from the Dark Treats are freed, including that one guy that's been missing for 15 weeks, he starts to calm down a little bit. I think he was calming down a little bit before that, but I thought it was really interesting, because initially I was thinking when he was having his conversation with Evil Kiji Brother, they were talking about how he was working with Vlam, that Vlam was responsible for the mass kidnappings, and that was instantly, like, obviously frustrating because we as an audience know everything, but I could totally see how we could jump to conclusions that that Shouma has been secretly working with the Granites the whole time, and he's been doing these mass jobs with Vlam, and I could easily see why he could connect those dots. But thankfully later, once he realizes, like, wait, they were working together, and then immediately after everyone was freed, and probably remembering a couple of things that Shouma tried to say to him, and he's like, you know what, I should hear him out. Not only is everyone freed, that's probably what he was doing, but he's been fighting along me this whole time. You know, his mother was also attacked by or killed by the Granite, and also he's taken out a member of their family and been attacked by them numerous times. I mean, obviously you could say something like, oh, they staged the attack. You know what I mean? He was very reasonable, which is incredibly refreshing, as I've said in the past. I do often get annoyed when, even though the conflict feels justified in other Toku series, oftentimes just for the sake of conflict, they will fly off the handle, be irrational, be unreasonable. And I like in this series, everyone's kind of behaved like an adult, including Vlam. They'll listen, they'll think, and this was very much in character. Like, obviously I didn't want this to amount to nothing, but I was also very pleasantly surprised that he actually stopped and thought, and I really like that. Obviously it all gets blown to hell 5 seconds later when Bitter Gavv shows up and is causing all chaos, and he's like, wait a minute, I was actually wrong again. I was wrong first, and then I was wrong again. He actually is evil, and he shows Sachika the footage that he found of him attacking people, and he attacks Bitter Gavv, who transforms, who's kind of like looking for the treat that will give him his version of the Gachizos, and we end with him fighting Bitter Gavv along with Ram, who also sees it. So classic misunderstanding. I thought that was well done, because you have the initial over-the-top reaction, but then you actually have him be calm, actually think about the information and the evidence, come to a reasonable conclusion, and then of course you have the soap opera plot twist of the evil twin stopping everything. Now I am a little bit confused by something, and also they totally spoil the resolution of this, which sucks. Like, they often will spoil the new form debut, which I get is probably for toys or whatever, but why did you have to spoil the resolution for this? Like, you literally see them working together again next week, and them fighting Bitter Gavv, which immediately answers a question I had. Now, unless I might have missed a scene, maybe I missed a scene when I looked away from the screen for a second, but the only two things leading into Bitter Gavv in this episode was when Evil Kiji Brother was looking at his screen and looking at stuff like marinating or whatever, and obviously we know he did some shady stuff when he took Shouma's DNA. And then, of course, the scene with Shouma passing out. I thought they were trying to imply, not that this is what this is, but imply to us that maybe don't know that somehow something had been done to Shouma, and this was Shouma, but some sort of dark personality that was out of him. Like he passed out and woke up as another person, kind of like the way the White Dino Thunder Ranger worked. Like he had a different personality. Like that's not what it is. I think it is a clone, because again, in the preview, we do see them fighting next week. I thought that was a cool, like, red herring even for the audience, because I wasn't even sure if it was going to be a clone. I just kind of assumed based on what people were saying, and I'm like, actually, this would have been a cooler idea. We'll see how that stuff plays out. Could be super cool. Not that I think it looks terrible, but I was like, this actually could have been a really cool idea instead of it being a clone or something like that. Or this isn't obviously his Berserk form or anything, but I was thinking a cool spin on a Berserk form. Instead of it just being him getting really mad or like irrational or primal, have like an actual full-on evil persona. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I was thinking maybe that's even what they're doing somehow, but they immediately spoiled it, which kind of sucked. But I still really did like this episode. I really liked Honto being a reasonable adult about it, and then the twist of Bitter Gavv getting in the way. The only apprehension I have isn't necessarily pertaining to this episode, but is about the spoilers from the preview. I'm curious to see how it plays out, because I do feel it's rather quick for them to work together. Like, I didn't want to see this cause a rift between them for like 10 episodes and have Honto be unreasonable and do a character change. And I'm really happy everything he did in this felt in character. But with that being said, it just feels like such a quick resolution. Like, they built it up so much, I wanted it to have more impact. But we'll see how it played out this week. Thus far, the series hasn't disappointed me, so we'll see. But let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.